Crystal Walters podcast. Today we have a special guest, Kim Davis. Thank you so much, Kim, for joining us today.
Thank you, Crystal. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me as your guest, and I'm honored.
Of course, it's a privilege. Will you share a bit with our audience about what you do right now? What does your current life look like?
I'm a transaction coordinator. I also manage and operate my own real estate rental properties. So, along those lines, that's what I'm doing. And I'm also a mom to a young adult daughter and a trusted friend. And also, I try to be a steady source of support to others, making sure that I also balance my own boundaries. So that's a little bit about me. And my faith is extremely important to me. And I also value service to others, also integrity, responsibility, and just providing excellent service in all that I try to do.
I love that. Thank you. So, how did you get involved into the real estate side?
So with that, it's just really interesting. So I'm realizing right now that everything that I've done has led me to the space that I'm at now. Starting out as a really young person at 24, I got my first real estate investment property. So all along, I knew eventually I wanted to do something more in real estate, and I knew that would be a path for me. As the years went on, and actually leading, I was working my W-2 job for many years, and as a human resources professional and in the project management space. So I did that, and then during the COVID outbreak and what they called the Great Resignation, I was part of that. I left my job, and I knew I wanted to just pivot and go back into the real estate business. So it took a little while for me to find the niche that I wanted to participate in as far as transaction coordination. But after a couple years of kind of researching and seeing what I wanted to do, the niche of transaction coordination actually came across my desk as I was looking on Facebook. I saw an ad, and it was interesting because my neighbor and friend, who was she's previously been a real estate agent. She's no longer doing that, but she had told me about this niche, but I never heard about it anymore. That was several years ago. So when I saw it, I said, "Oh, wow, I remember that." And so I looked into it, and that was the niche that I felt like I could make an impact, in. So I went for it.
Wow, amazing. Have you seen God working in your life through like how you got led into TC work?
I've definitely seen God's hand on every step of the way, just giving me the focus and just the experiences, in the human resources world. It's a lot of care. Customer care is really important, right? And even in the project management space, looking at deadlines and looking at timetables and making sure that the entire team kind of has what they need to get their part of the project done. So that, along with being blessed to, get a rental property at the age of 24, I just know that this was the path that God had for me.
That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So, with all of that you've gathered together, so like you have God helping you in your life, you have this rental property at the age of 24, and you were learning that TC work is more of your calling. What has really inspired you and motivated you to keep going down this path?
Yeah, so being able to know that I can have generational legacy that I can leave for my daughter and my future grandchildren, knowing that this is an area where it can be taught, it can be learned, and others can participate in it versus with real estate, there's a cost, but this is an area where I can actually help others in my family and in my community so that they can be employed. So I look at it from that aspect. And what's interesting is looking at the entrepreneurial space, it's been really a way for me to realize that, once I started looking at the TC and the traditional entrepreneurship versus having a real estate rental property, I realized that I was doing entrepreneurship all the time, all that time, but I didn't look at it like that. So, yeah, I think that's kind of what I wanted to share with you. And I might be rambling, but I
No,
just
you're
wanted, I realized that this is all entrepreneurship. It's just different types of it. So that's really something that I want to be able to relay to my daughter, and I do relay that to her already. But just knowing that there's different levels to it, it's different segments to it.
That's really important because a lot of people do get in that thinking like, hey, this isn't entrepreneurship because I've been doing it my whole life, or like
Mhm.
this doesn't seem like it just because like either it's too fun or like something's going on to where it just doesn't feel like it until you have
Right.
that eyesight and you're like, oh, you're right. I have been doing that.
Exactly. And a lot of times we just don't realize that a lot of the things that we are doing can transfer, the skills can transfer. And then sometimes you don't realize, hey, why are we so afraid? Why is fear setting in? Because you've been doing it. You've been doing this for years and you didn't realize that it's like a mindset change. You have to realize and be able to tap into all of your prior experiences to help you along the way. So, yeah,
So true. Thank you for that wisdom. We loved it.
you're welcome.
So, with that learning, what has been your biggest challenge with both your rental property and with TC work?
So, with both, I would say, as far as the challenges, it's being able to realize that the thing, what I didn't know. So, like going into the rental property as a young person in my 20s, I was not prepared. So, the challenge there was that I didn't know what was required of me, and I made a lot of mistakes. So, I look back on those mistakes now, and it was a learning curve. But, on one hand, it was a blessing that I was in that space to be able to come across an assumable mortgage and be able to take it on. But on the other hand, I wasn't prepared. So that's one thing as far as a challenge. And similarly, going into the TC space, it's almost like anything when it's new, you just so much that you don't realize that you just don't know. Like not realizing that actually in both sectors, having a community that you can lean on is so important for knowledge, right? So if I back, when I was 24, there weren't many mentorships like you see now. Now they're a dime a dozen. You see them everywhere. But back then there were these commercials that came on like in the middle of the night, and it was about how you can, get into real estate and all of that, but there weren't any really like mentorships. So just having a community that you can lean on helps to alleviate those challenges. But that's something that I wish I had, and that was a challenge. Even going into a mentorship, knowing that the mindset change is more of it's a big importance in that versus even knowing, learning the actual systems. It's more of an internal change that you have to make for any of these, anytime that you're trying to go into the business world. It's that internal shift that you have to make, and that's what makes the difference. So that was an early challenge for me. And I'm still it's a work in progress. You're always challenging those limiting beliefs that come in your head, right? So being able to recognize it and quickly pivot and challenge that thought. That's been something that I've worked on and I'm still working on, and I'm sure I'll continue to have to work on that.
Definitely. That is limiting beliefs everyone has to constantly work on. So thank you for that. So thank you for sharing about those limiting beliefs and all of that you've been learning with your different entrepreneurial struggles and trials. So what is one powerful lesson that you've learned through all of these challenges?
One thing I would share is that I've learned that being able to stay true to the boundaries that you've set is so important. A lot of times, we get in situations and we might want to be able to maybe serve a wider audience or be able to say yes more than we probably should. But leaning into the boundaries that you've set for yourself is so important. And even to the point where I had a situation where I knew, the boundary was there. It was even built into my agreement, but I went against it. And because I had, this sense of urgency for some reason that I was ready to, take on more projects and they didn't fit into the scope of the way that my business is set up. So that just takes me back to, when you have boundaries set and even in your business systems that you set up, those are also, boundaries. Stick to it because you put a lot of thought into it and it's a reason why it's there. And yeah, it's just best to stick to those boundaries because they're built in to protect you.
That makes a lot of sense. I know boundaries have been a struggle of mine in the past as well, like knowing that we have to set them for us to be able to properly function, like in our job as well as in our own personal lives. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
very important. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
What are some habits and routines that you've developed? So, you've mentioned limiting beliefs, you've mentioned boundaries. Are there any specific habits or routines around those in general that you've worked on that have helped you?
So, as far as routines, my routine of using my planner and, having a morning routine that I've actually set up for the entire week. So, using my weekend to plan for the the next week, the following week is one way that I'm able to stay on target and keep my confidence level up also because I have a view of what I'm expected to do for the following week and I know how to stay on track. So time blocking is something that has been so helpful for me. But even the routine of breaking down projects into smaller blocks of time. So maybe smaller chunks of a project and so that I can actually get things completed. So that is a routine that has really helped me. And I'm always looking for different ways to be more efficient and even a routine of doing daily outreach to agents. So that's another thing. It's a routine, that lead generation is so important. And, when you're in the growing mode and, at the beginning of your business, that's something that you really focus on. And actually throughout your entire business, you need to continue to focus on that. So having all of those things on my calendar, I would say that that's really an important routine that I've learned. And it's like clockwork. Sunday night, I'm working on my calendar for the week. So that's like become a habit now. And yeah, just making sure that I'm implementing now is what I'm working on.
Amazing. I have also heard like how wonderful the planners and the time blocking has worked for so many other entrepreneurs too. And it's made a difference in my life when I actually implement it. I'm still working on that one. But amazing. I'm so glad to hear how
Yeah.
well it's working in your life too.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm just glad that it was brought to my attention as, an area that existed. I mean, I didn't even realize all of the apps that were out there for time management and for managing, your calendars. It's so many apps available even. And then of course, the manual planners. So I still go with manual, but I do keep one of the apps also. Haven't 100% transition to it, but I have it there available.
I'm right there with you. I actually have my lovely little planner with me at all times.
Yes, yes.
Good. So, how can people contact you if they want to reach out to you, get to know you more, uh, get your TC services that you offer? How can people reach out to you?
So yeah, I can be reached on Instagram. My Instagram is, and the name of my company is First Rate Transactions. And my Instagram is first spelled out FIRSTRATE underscore transactions with an S. And it's the same on Facebook. And on YouTube, I'm at Kimberly Davis Real Estate.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
So if any of you out there are in need of someone who can help with your transactions and help lighten the load that you're dealing with in your transactions and bring some systems clarity, I'm always willing to be a resource and willing to see where I can help you at. And you can definitely reach out to me.
Yes, reach out to Kim Davis. She's amazing. I'd love her.
Thank you, Crystal. You're amazing too.
Yeah.
And even just the way we met is just amazing. So it's good to see you again. And again, I'm so thankful for you having me on your podcast.
Of course, it was a pleasure. So thank you so much for your time. And I love our connection that we have together. So thank you.
Yes.
Well, take care.
Take care, Crystal.